It should connect in and we should be good to go. All right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Terrific. Okay. So I'm going to kind of jump in and get started. We appreciate everybody being here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dan Corbett. I'm the managing partner with BlackIron Group. We'll get into introductions here in a second, but I was the guy who's sending you out those invites. I've met a ton of you. For those who you haven't, we appreciate you being here. Today we're going to discuss and kind of show in a demo org what Salesforce integration to your DMS could look like, how that kind of data flows, and then one of our clients, Regional International, is going to help us kind of walk through that. So I'm going to show you a demo version of the system, but they're going to bring color to how it actually works at Regional, which I think could be compelling for everybody on the phone to sort of understand how that goes. So let's just dive right in and kind of start getting going. I'm going to turn off my camera here so you're not seeing the side of my face as I go. I'm going to drop this in, and then I'm going to ask Peter to kind of start with the slides and sort of do the introduction. So Peter, everybody, Peter.
Okay. Hi. So I'm Peter, Dan's partner, one of the two at BlackIron. We've been doing this for a long time. Dan founded it, and then I joined him 12 years ago, I guess. So been a long time. So this is the agenda. It's pretty self-explanatory, but Dan, why don't you just jump into the slides, the next slide.
Can you not see the agenda piece? Is it not showing?
I am seeing the.
Oh, okay.
No, I can see it anyway.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
So, I mean, BlackIron, as you can see, we've been around. We've done 2,000, 2,100 projects for 1,800 different customers. From very small, more in the beginning, we did a lot of jump starts from 2 weeks to 18 months. We know a lot about, because everybody on the team have been doing this a long time, really good at project management. We actually have 2 PMI certified resources. As we said, we've been doing this, Dan and I, in one form or another, been doing this for 17 years. And we've just concentrated over the last couple of years. We tried not to do everything, but more in manufacturing, and then specifically in trucking, we've kind of developed a speciality in trucking. So that's what we're here to show you today. We do understand the nuances of the trucking business, and we want to show you the benefits of using Salesforce and your DMS, and to how that can help your dealership. We do understand the data that comes from a DMS. We've integrated a number of times to a number of them. We're going to talk a lot about Carmack today, but that's the one we've done the most. But we really understand the data, and you really have to understand the data on the ERP DMS side to, present it well and do interesting things, which we're going to show you today on the Salesforce side. And the last bullet there, we can help you merge all the important DMS data into your CRM data. So it really is. Go to the next slide, Dan. That's really a kind of the holy grail, is to get that data into Salesforce. So dealerships depend on the DMS data for day-to-day operations. They always will. As with manufacturing, in the manufacturing space, the ERP systems they're the backbone of the company, and they're never going to go anywhere, and they're the system of truth. So to get that data out so we can do different things with it is the goal, but they're the backbone of it. So DMS, they do a lot for people all throughout your firm. Finance uses it, service teams use it. You can do numbers of all kinds of people in the organization can use it, and it can really make it much easier for people that aren't used to that, or don't want to necessarily be in the DMS to see the information and have access to the information on their computer, and as Dan will show you later, on your mobile device as well. And one more slide, I think. But connecting the data to Salesforce is really what changes this whole thing, because integrating the data with CRM, the combination gives you, your sales reps, a really powerful database anytime, anywhere, which we're going to show you. The DMS, we know, have robust APIs, which is the tools that let it and Salesforce or any other external system talk to each other. And it gives us access to all kinds of data, inventory data, sales orders, repair orders, invoice information. Those are the most fundamental, the most common ones. But depending on what the APIs allow us to do, we can get other information in as well. We can use inventory data to communicate to customers about new vehicles. We can take advantage of all the workflows and automations in Salesforce. We get that data out into Salesforce. We can do all kinds of automated, emails out, but also internally. So you can start to see, oh, maybe this customer should or will be in the market for new vehicles. It just does things that DMS systems don't necessarily do, but it takes the data out of that and then transforms it and does really interesting things, which is what we're going to show you. So we'll talk about this. The alerts you can send to service and that. So there is one more. Sorry, Dan. Once we understand sales landscape, Salesforce can help you manage the quote process. It just is really very helpful. Quoting out of Salesforce allows you to store prospect data where it belongs, which is in CRM. Deals, and we know that deals happen fast, and there are a lot of them. Again, Salesforce is a tool that lets you really prioritize, analyze, but it gives the salespeople and management the information where they need it, and it's very easy and accessible. Again, on your laptop or on your computer at your desk or on your mobile phone. We can help you build customized quoting systems. We can use a lot of different tools straight out of the box with Salesforce, but we've done this for a number of customers. And then we can manage things like trade-ins, add-ons, FET, and lots of other things that are part of the deal cycle. We understand they're all similar, but every dealership has its own way of doing things. So that's one of the great things about Salesforce. It lets us really mirror what you need it to be. It's not a cookie cutter, this is the way it is type of program. We can really fit it to meet your business.
Okay, so thanks, Peter. And so now we're going to jump kind of into the meat of this. I'd like you to introduce Gina Carello from Regional International. Melinda is also here, so we've got two people from Regional kind of with us. Gina and Melinda hail from the Rochester office or location. Melinda is the Salesforce administrator and kind of runs the system. Gina is in charge of the sales team and I think sales operations with Regional. Regional is a large international dealership up in Rochester and kind of that surrounding area up in Western New York. 170 people work there. They've got over $11 million in inventory, so they're a very serious dealership. And they have implemented Salesforce and integrated the Karmak. And so we're going to kind of talk about how that happened. For a couple of slides, we're going to talk about how their project went. And then, like I said, we're going to jump into Salesforce and kind of show how that works. So Regional had the typical challenges that I imagine most of the people on the phone have. Poor visibility to the quotes and kind of the quote status, not being able to see the sales data. They wanted to use the information, to Peter's point, out of the DMS, which is super data rich, to get their sales reps easy, quick, mobile access to that data to make decisions and to kind of use it to sort of drive business. They wanted to know, what inventory is out there from the road, right? From their telephones, they wanted to be able to see what inventory is on the lot and what's available. They wanted to know how their reps were doing against their forecast, right? All reps sort of have a quota. They wanted to see how that was comparing, and the reps wanted to see it, and they wanted to see it. They wanted to see product mix, right? So what amount of sales for a particular fleet is coming from vehicles versus parts versus repairs. They wanted to kind of get that information. What's the revenue? What's the margin? Or what's the discount for a particular customer? Because, not all customers are created equal. Let's sort of see who's bringing us the business and if the margin is I guess commensurate with the amount of money that we're making. One of the things that Melinda brought up I thought was really interesting was integrating these two systems sort of forces us into a single version of the truth, right? If we've got BlackIron Fleet, we've got to have one version of that record if we're constantly integrating that over to Carmack. It can't be two different versions of the account with two different sets of data. So this sort of forces some data discipline to kind of put this together. And then finally, what are my trends, right? What do I look like this year over last year by account or product or type or region or sales rep, right? Let's see what that kind of data looks like. That information out of Carmack sort of loaded up gives us the ability to quickly see that. Think about a DMS as kind of product focused and think about a CRM as customer focused. Essentially what we're doing is taking data, super rich data at the sales order and the product level, and standing up in a different way to see it at the account level. How we helped. We jumped in, and Carmack has is their DMS. It has a terrific API system. It's good and gets better every month, I think, to grab that information and link it up to the various data, right? Products or sales or customer information, pulling that from Carmack and bringing it into Salesforce. As an aside, Regional also uses, we won't show it today, but they use the marketing automation tool from Salesforce called Pardot, which kind of takes some of that data, particularly around leads, and takes us to a whole level. And then finally, we used all that information and built out dashboards to sort of put it together. Gina and Melinda, do you guys want to kind of high level sort of introduce yourselves and talk about, kind of your experience with Salesforce before we jump?
Yeah, this is Gina. Basically, when we decided to go with Salesforce, one of our main things was it has to be integrated with Carmack. We have to be able to pull that information over into Salesforce, so it's not a lot of somebody doing it themselves. So we asked around who would be the best to do this, and BlackIron was one of the companies that kept coming up. I worked directly with Don Marin for months. Actually, it was a long time, and we got a lot of things going. And then Melinda finally came on board. She's our marketing manager, in charge of Salesforce now, because it got so big that I couldn't do it. So I'm going to let Melinda go and run with everything else that she has done to make everything work really well with all of our sales, from our outside parts salespeople to our truck sales, trailer, everything that we do, all of our sales departments.
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, Dan, if you could go back to the previous slide really quickly so I can reference some of those bullet points. I can put some of the stuff into context too. So for instance, when we talk about what inventory is available from the road, right now our new truck sales folks, we've got over 250 trucks that are on order. So it's not just what's in inventory on the lot, but also what's on order. So if they're out looking, talking to a customer and, need to reference that information about that customer's vehicles being available and where they are, they can go into their Salesforce. And so when you think about whether, they're using a laptop or a tablet or their phone, that's the great thing about Salesforce is whatever piece of technology they're using, they can access that from there. Let's see, the mix of sales type, not only for just an individual customer, but when we start to look at, what is our customer base as a whole, how does that frame up? We can start to pull reports to say, what percentage of our customers are, we getting sales from that are, vehicles plus parts plus repairs, and start to understand that universe of the way our customers are relying on us, and then also identify opportunities for more sales as we move forward too. And then let's see, I'd say single version of the truth. That's definitely a big deal because, as you know, when you're working across multiple databases, being able to have, one source that's, here's where your customer data comes in, and then moving into that other source versus having people putting in data in multiple places where it can get very messy. So, this way it helps to, streamline that and keep things even keel for our folks too. So just kind of a few things there. Is there anything specific, Dan, that you'd like me to talk about?
No, I think when we jump into the system, I'm going to start going through some of the screens, and I think that'll help. Oh, and here we are. Okay, so I'm going to turn my screen off. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to go into Salesforce and make sure that it's coming up on the screen. And then we should be right back to where we were. Okay. So does everybody see Salesforce now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. And so the approach that I want to take today for the demo, for the good stuff, is to kind of show a demo version of the system. Regional, for obvious reasons, doesn't want to show kind of all the customers that are out there and the inventory and the stuff that they've got. So instead, I've got a demo org of Salesforce that I'm going to show. But the thing that Gina and Melinda are going to do is kind of help us. I'm going to say this is sort of how Salesforce can look, and they're going to say this is what we've done with this particular function. So to everybody's point, Salesforce is, a web-based application. You get to it anywhere, anytime. In this case, I'm in a browser. I'm in Chrome and kind of showing it here, but it works just as well from a tablet or from your phone, which is super kind of helpful if you're out on the road. Salesforce gives me the ability to create a homepage like you see a sample here, but this can be different for different groups. So for instance, if our new truck sales folks need to see a dashboard like this where they've got their closed business and their top accounts and kind of how their activities listed, maybe the parts folks see a different one, and certainly the repair people as that sort of comes together. We can have different views into this data for different groups of people to kind of satisfy different requirements and different problems. How do you guys, Melinda and Gina, what do you do for your homepage? It's got to look dramatically different than this.
Yep. So for my new truck sales guys, I've got, for instance, their current year, previous year sales, and also current month sales. So they can see specifically what their individual sales look like. And that's a part of the data that's coming from Karmak into Salesforce. Salesforce-driven data is around new truck conquests. So if they want to really quickly go into who their specific conquest accounts are for this year, it's right on their homepage. There's a customer priority report. So they've labeled their customers as their A, B, and C list. Again, really quick, want to go find that A list, it's right there. And, then, there's opportunities and expenses and those kinds of things that are on their homepage as well. So for the parts folks, theirs is actually a little bit different because, the way that they handle conquest or, and whatnot will be a little bit different. They don't use opportunities quite the same as new truck sales guys do. So that's where my parts folks will have a different view on their homepage because they're using Salesforce differently than new truck sales guys are. So
cool. And all these are basically what are called dashboard components, which we'll cover in more detail towards the end. But essentially, we're taking data out of Salesforce. Once you build data into Salesforce, and it can be standard objects. I'm doing air quotes, but I don't have the camera on. Stuff like opportunities and accounts and contacts, the tabs you see across the top. But we can also build for any sort of function that's not necessarily drilled right into the core CRM functionality of Salesforce. We can build out custom objects to store that data as well. So invoicing or deals or inventory, if we want to store that someplace separate, we can put that into these objects. And once it's there, we can take that data and report on it. Any report in Salesforce then becomes instantly dashboardable, if that's a verb. So you can kind of have these different pictures of that data. You've also got all the activity listed over here on the side. So as emails are kind of rolling out of Salesforce and you're taking calls and sort of capturing that information, you can build an activity timelines, actually what Salesforce calls it, over here on the side so that you can see what that looks like. It'll remind you where you are with what you've got. You can see the sales by different groups. So all of that data is kind of presented to you right in the front. These tabs across the top give you the ability to kind of walk through the system as well. But honestly, most of the time users are simply searching, right? So if we want to find a particular record and I start in for the description, there's a function in Salesforce called Einstein Search, which helps me figure out what I've done before, what sort of matches, and gives me kind of a preview of what exists out there in the system to capture that information. So if I go into Marcus Dairy, I can see that information right in the system, right? And once I've clicked on that, it takes me into that record in Salesforce. In Salesforce, an account or a customer record is kind of the top of the hierarchy. All things sort of flow off the account record. And you can see in my example, I've got some basic information about who they are, where they are, and some information maybe at the system to kind of capture that information inside of the tool. But I've also got the ability to create across the top multiple tabs with other data in it. So I can see who my contacts are right from within the account, and I can see what my sales are. We'll kind of jump into one of these here in just a second, but essentially sales gives me the ability to coordinate or organize, what my opportunities are, what deals I'm chasing, what my sales orders in this particular case look like and what they belong to. We've built out some custom objects for other clients for inspections, for trucks or trailers. We can capture invoice information. Really, I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but there's very little we can't do. If the data exists in Carmack, odds are that Unity has exposed it, or in the DMS of your choice. That if we got access to that data, we can bring it into Salesforce and present it in an interesting way. And I think some of the things that happen in the DMS system certainly give us the ability to see that data, at a row level, right? Spreadsheet kind of matrix feel. But the other thing we can do once we've got it there is report and dashboard on that. So if we want to see the product mix for a particular client, we can start to see what that looks like in a visual way and know that, vehicles and parts are our big sellers and maybe there's some room for improvement in repairs or trailers. Or if we're looking at margin, we can kind of see how that margin flows over time by month, right? In this case, I know it defies logic, but essentially, the sales are kind of, as the sales go up by month, the margin is increasing, understanding this is demo data. But that's the kind of information that we can take from the system and give ourselves a visually sort of interesting or useful view into that data. Melinda, Gina, what does your account page look like for the most part?
It's actually very similar to what you've got set up there.
Cool.
There's the top level details page. Just checking here to see if it's very different. But then,
Melinda, the only one thing I wanted to say,
yeah,
because I know there's some 5-star people that are on with Carmack too, or Fusion. The one thing that we do have, which helps tie in, is the customer account number out of Carmack is on our detail page, which that's big in the sense of, especially on the part side for the outside salesman, it'll say Carmack customer number. So that way, if a part salesman needs to call into the counter or needs to call into receivables, they can give that account number, which does help, especially if that customer has more than, their one location. Just wanted to throw that out there. And then Melinda, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I guess the only other thing I would add that's an addition to ours, because you did mention part at earlier, is that I've got an engagement dashboard that takes all of that part out activity and visualizes my customers' interaction with emails we send out, with our website and all that as well. So
interesting. That's awesome stuff. Okay, so accounts are kind of a broad overview, and the picture changes, I think, for every customer. But I like the idea that having that number on there makes it easier for people to talk to the parts or the service or whoever we're dealing with. That kind of information is right at your fingers. And again, it's not. I'll show it. I sound like a stuck record, but it's on your mobile device too. In this demo org and at regional, we capture information about opportunities. So opportunities, think about as deals. It's essentially, what's the status of a particular deal, right? And it answers kind of 3 critical questions for me. It says, when do I expect this to close, right? So I guess I expect this one to close today. How much is it worth, right? How much is it worth? And then what stage or where are we in the funnel sort of process? How do we live and where have we kind of gotten with this particular record? And the kind of high level piece of that is fairly easy to understand, but the devil obviously is in the details. And so as you jump into this and start to look at the deals, you start to see much more sort of compelling information, because in the truck dealerships we've dealt with, it's not as simple as just You're selling a truck, it costs $30,000 and you wish everybody the best of luck. There's always kind of different pieces, right? There's add-ons that go with it. There's trade-ins that go with it. There's FET that goes with it. And so using Salesforce to sort of build it out, we can capture that information inside of Salesforce as well. We can get a picture of the truck kind of loaded up if we've got that on the website and get that information. We can capture what those add-ons are. It's a stupid example of mine, but chrome wheels. And we can capture the trade-in that's coming in for that record as well, even down to the asset level if we want to. It doesn't have to be this sophisticated, but it can be. So how do you guys use opportunities, Melinda and Gina? How do you guys sort of flow with that?
Right now, it's my new truck guys that are using opportunities the most, and it's really how we capture visibility to what's going on, who it is that we're doing business with right now, and I'd say visibility and accountability are the two things. But being able to track from the beginning to the close of the deal, and seeing what's in the funnel is really helpful right now. So.
Okay, excellent. And there's some add-on tools that can kind of help us build out documents on this for customers who are interested in that. We can build out quote documents with a tool called Conga. We did a webinar a few weeks ago around Conga Composer, which is this really slick tool that helps us kind of build mail merge documents. And so really once we kind of get this data in here, again, similar to reporting and dashboarding, the sky's the limit in what we make that data look like, both from a reporting and dashboarding perspective, but also from a document perspective, if that's something that kind of becomes interesting to or compelling to your particular dealership. All of that data, as we flow through those opportunities, ultimately ends up in various reports and dashboards. And so the big thing I think that becomes helpful for users, both the executives at the company want to see the overarching view of this, and then the individual sales reps, is what's the status of the business, right? What's my win rate by sales rep? What's my this year, last year kind of sales at the rep level, or at the category level, or at the account level? I kind of put this together so you can see across the different stages, but I sound like a stuck record. All the data that we get into Salesforce can be reportable. Any report can be dashboardable and sort of put together this way. And this information, I think, becomes the most compelling thing that we do in the system. It gives us the ability to capture that information and present it to users to help them sort of make informed decisions about what they're going to do for a particular customer, or even kind of in a macro sense, where's the business going, or what are we looking to kind of aim at? So in this example, I always look at this and kind of see that vehicles are always killing it. It seems like across the different accounts, regardless, there is room in the repair business. And I realize this is test data and a demo system, but this is the kind of stuff I think that visually sort of stands out to you as a dealership, that you can, at a macro level, you can sort of, it's pretty obvious. Purple is smaller than green. What can we do to grow purple? The dashboards around the Karmak information, around the sales information, are important, but you can also take the information, like Melinda was saying, with the base CRM functionality, right? What do my opportunities look like for reps? What opportunities have been sitting out there for a while that nobody's touched? What do my leads look like in the system? If I'm going on site and capturing that information, what do my on-site, I can tell I'm killing it, but what do my on-site kind of visits look like in the system? So taking DMS data and then merging it or improving it with CRM data, I think is where kind of, at least in my version of this, that's where the kind of secret sauce is, right? Combining all that for a way to sort of make better decision support, I think, is what Salesforce combined with your DMS gives us the ability to do. Melinda, Gina, I know you guys sent me some pictures of some very slick dashboards. I mean, you want to talk about kind of what you guys do with this information?
Yeah, I can tell you that, those dashboards, they really are the cornerstone of our weekly sales meetings, where, we can take a look at, what's the activity that's happened in the last week, what's happened in the last month, what's closed, what's hanging out there. In particular, when we look at our sales funnel and see, X percentage of deals are in this price proposal quote, spot, we can drill down into that and say, okay, what's in here that we can, what do we need to do to take the next steps to move this along, move it into the next step. So it really helps to guide some of those conversations in our sales meeting. And then also for our dealer principal, being able to have these dashboards show up in his email every Monday morning to give him a look at what happened the previous week. And then if he has any questions, it helps to, drive some of that conversation. So again, visibility, accountability, and also, like, how do we keep things moving forward? Key to any sales, right?
Exactly. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so finally, and I'm not sure how this is going to work. So I'm going to attempt to drag a picture of can you guys see that's ridiculous. All right, it's not going to let me. So ignore that stupid crown thing. Can you guys see my phone?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so basically, all of that data that we've talked about coming in from Carmack can be seen at the account level, can be seen at the report level, can be seen at the dashboard level, and then can be seen on your phone. So this is an example of kind of what that sort of looks like. If I click menu down here and click on dashboards, I can basically see the same dashboard I'm looking at here on my phone, right? And that's super helpful, but I can also sort of use this information to see what's kind of been going on inside of the system, right? And not just at the detail level, but if I want to see Marcus Dairy, right, the account that we were sort of looking at, I can capture that information, search for that information and see that record inside of the system as well. Any of the things that I have kind of built in here, I've got the data visibility into the system to kind of see. And that includes kind of at the related list, seeing the inspections or seeing the opportunities, seeing any of the information that we were kind of using. If you've got connection out to the internet, you should be fine to be able to see this data. But it also gives us the ability to capture some things, right? So if I want to capture a particular call, I can do that right in the phone. I can get that information here. I can use speech to text to say, the call went terrific. Looking forward to meeting with the client next week and saving that information. And that's great, right? That's an easy way to sort of out there on the road, capture that information and getting in the system. But there's also the ability to use this to capture other kind of things, right? So if I want to get a picture of what I'm doing on a particular account, it's as simple as kind of grabbing this information. I'm going to take a picture of myself in this infinite loop, but there's a way to kind of put that picture in. I can save that information into the system, and then I've got the ability to sort of see that right within the record inside of Salesforce. So that picture automatically loaded up to the Marcus Dairy record, and now anybody with the right permission set can see that information inside of the system and sort of capture that and use that information as we sort of go forward. Most of our customers, most of our road warrior customers use the heck out of the mobile app because, if you're on the road 3 days a week or 4 days a week, it just doesn't make sense to set up in your hotel or when you get back home at 7 o'clock at night. The last thing in the world you want to do is be keying into a system. This gives you the ability to kind of do that directly from the road. And I know, Gina, Melinda, you guys use this a lot, but can you kind of give more color? I don't think I did this justice as kind of how this works.
Gina, do you want to speak to how you're, I think you did a great job. I'm not sure if on parts side in particular, I know they're really good at this.
Oh, yeah, I mean, as far as the phone app, it definitely is huge for my outside parts salesmen, excuse me. It's easy because when they're at their customer, they can get in their car, they can go in, get their pull up their customer information. They can tap the microphone. They can do all their notes. They can type in there what they need to, and then they stop it and go. And because the outside parts salespeople see way more than truck does or trailer or whoever, it's a very easy and simple app to use instead of trying to get out their computer or their tablet and trying to connect it to Wi-Fi. It's all right there. It's all, Melinda has designed the app to be able to meet all of the salespeople's needs. So it works really well. The phone app is definitely a very big selling point.
Secret sauce. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right, cool. So I'm going to move this off the screen. One last thing I wanted to show you, and it's a little out of order because I didn't look down at my notes. But once we're kind of in the database and we've got that information, diving down through those dashboards is a fairly trivial task as well. So in this example, I clicked on sales by category. You can now see the categories and see the this year, last year data, the percent increase or decrease as we sort of roll across this by month. And that information can help me sort of capture information or get kind of trends both at the month level and at the different levels. I can also grab information here and dive down into the details of that so that I can see kind of more granular information in the system. Oh, yeah, we got to drill down first. And once I've got that information in the system, I can start to see even down to the detail rows inside, right? So here's the actual sales orders themselves. If I click into any of these, that takes me right to the record in Salesforce. So it's very quickly kind of putting me in touch with the data inside of Salesforce. As you sort of get used to using the tool, kind of guiding through those dashboards and guiding down to that data is a pretty easy function to do, and I think people kind of get used to you're basically 2 or 3 clicks away from getting down to the details of that data if you need to get to it. Certainly the high level is useful, but if there's stuff at the bottom that you need to get to, it's not running a report and then your reward for running that report is to run another report and to run another report. So. All right, well, I have no big finish. That's kind of where I leave on the Salesforce part. I'm going to try something here and see if I can do this. And if it'll let me get back to Salesforce, it will. Then I can present this way. And it looks like that red line tells me I'm still seeing my screen. So at this point, I guess we're open for questions. I appreciate your patience. Any questions? I open it to the floor for, kind of any questions that you've got about Salesforce and integration out to your DMS.
So to move through the pipeline in Salesforce, you're still relying on the sales person to move that opportunity through the pipeline. Is that right?
Yes.
That isn't part of the DMS integration.
Well, it could be. So if you're kind of working the deal in the DMS, we can be the beneficiary of that data. You could continue to do the sales processing and that kind of stuff in your DMS, and we would kind of be the benefactors of that data. Or you can turn that around to Peter's point, leave the prospects at Salesforce, and only if and when does it turn into a real customer or a real deal does it find its way back to a DMS. So I think we can approach it either way.
So Gina, when you guys invoice a truck or a part, does that invoice flow over to Salesforce so you can view it? Like currently I have the sales team, if they have a proposal in an opportunity, I have them drag it over so it's in that opportunity. With this integration, does all that invoicing and all those documents that's part of that account, do they automatically go over into that opportunity?
This is Melinda. Right now, I don't have it set up to go into the opportunity, but it's actually a conversation I've been having in the last couple of weeks and something I'm looking to do.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. And we have another customer who we do take the data from their Carmack customer too. So the deals table or the deals objects, and we run that data into opportunities. So we've done it to the opportunity level before.
I have a couple questions for Melinda, if that's okay. Melinda, you said that on the trucks that are actually on order, you're carrying that information over to Salesforce. Is that a manual entry that you're doing on a daily basis? Or is that something that you've integrated somehow?
So when the new truck admin puts the trucks into Carmack and marks it as being on order, sold, or any of that, all of the individual inventory data comes into Salesforce. So now when I run a report, I can see, if it's, new truck, severe, medium, heavy, and is it on order, is it sold? All of those data points come over with that individual inventory record. So then I can run reports on that.
Okay. And then my second question is, Melinda, you were introduced as a marketing, but how much time are you spending on maintenance within Salesforce?
Depends on the month. So I guess, I'll definitely step back and say, when you do have Salesforce, it's very important, I think, to get the most out of the system, to have somebody who can dedicate time to it. But when I came into regional, I'd not actually worked in Salesforce before. So when I took on that responsibility, I did a lot of training on Salesforce. Is a really great training website to learn how the back end of it operates, understand the structure of the database, the language of the database. And a lot of what I've been able to do has been, somebody says they want to be able to do a thing. And in my head, I'm like, it's all ones and zeros. I just have to figure out how to solve a math problem. So, if I don't know how to do a thing, I'll go look and figure out, where the right answers are. But in terms of how much time, like for instance, this week, I've probably spent, because there's a few things that I'm implementing that are a little bit new, maybe about 10 hours this week in Salesforce out of, a 45 hour week. So, it's like, I have to pace myself and then, not try and take on the whole universe at once. So yeah, but it does require some time and attention.
Okay. So you don't have to have a full-time person just maintaining all this stuff. You're doing other things as well.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very
But,
much.
I'd say it also depends on the size, of your business, your sales force. When I say your sales force, I mean how many people you have in your sales group, and
Right.
what you're looking to get out of it too. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay. Listen, everybody, I really appreciate the time. 1,000 thanks, 1,000,000 thanks to Gina and Melinda for doing this. It was terrific. I hope everybody on the call got some good out of it. I'm going to load this up to our website and send it out to you guys. So if there's people kind of within the organization that didn't get a chance to see this, but maybe wanted to, then you can watch it up on our website and kind of work from there. And if you've got any questions, if there's anything we could do to kind of help you put this together, please let us know. We certainly appreciate your time. Again, 1,000,000 thanks to Melinda and Gina for this, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.